a mini Gavin, a full-on Gavin CV. If you just spend 20 more points, you actually get a good tank CV, a cheap CV, a vroom vroom fast CV, a really dealy amphibious CV. Make sure to use tactical communications run around these guys. Why on earth would you use a helicopter CV? Why on earth would you use a logistic helicopter? No, really, why? Drive-through restaurant of the American military. Yeah, I guess it's kinda cute. Convoy. The Flash Gordon of Wargame. An absolute farce. It'd probably be more effective just to give the enemy a black eye. It is indeed a Stinger. Allows you to shoot down Soviet planes like it's 1989. These guys are on a diet, but they're still not a good idea. For when you want to roleplay Vietnam, at least these guys have a passable rocket launcher. Not so much about the machine gun here. There's not really much more yet I need to say about them. 15 Jarheads. 15 Relic Crypt Jarheads. Crap artillery. Still kinda crap artillery. Pretty good artillery, but expensive to use. Unfortunately, this one hasn't got its own Marvel movie yet. Bigger is always better, but you still gotta be careful at where you aim. For when you want mortars in a box, bigger mortars in a box, or mortars in a rectangle. It'd be much cooler if it had a radar dish. Now this is a pretty cool unit. The absolute undeniable middle finger of God. Meh. There's something else that delivers more freedom. Much more freedom. More freedom in a bald eagle on top of Rossington's head during July 4th, 1776. Your economy tank. Your improved tank. The mid-range family sedan of tanks. The high-end mid-range sport car of tanks. The absolute king of tanks. Rubbish. Garbage. Trash. Still kinda crap. Well, I guess we have to give Marine Decks a good tank. Aluminium, I don't even know how you bloody say it anymore. It says it's a cavalry tank, but I don't see any horses. Rise up to smell the rubbish. Why on earth is there so many goddamn pattern tanks? Unfortunately, this tank does not come with stream sniping capabilities. Ground control to Major Tom. You can keep your tank because it's pretty crap. The Germans had a much better idea of what a main battle tank should be. For chasing down infantry inside a forest. Red 4 tanks beware. The Apache longbows in the air. Once again, no goddamn horses. Humvee with a minigun. Humvee with a grenade launcher. Now that is a weird way to mount an autocannon. The AVRE of recon tanks. It's no Leopard Verkin, but it gets the job done. It's a release Jeep. It's a release Jeep with machine guns. If this thing only had a better ATGM. Nah, I think it needs something a little bit more powerful. The king of recon ATGM vehicles. There is not really much competition. What the fuck did you just say about me, you little bitch? I have you know I graduated on top of my eyes in the sky with a minigun. Eyes in the sky with only 7 rockets? Really? The longbow's little brother. The only recon infantry you need or want for the US. I mean, it's fast, but it's still crap. I mean, it's fast, but it's not a Bradley. Unfortunately, it can't actually shoot over walls. At least Marines have a 5-point infantry transport now. For when you absolutely need to stun up every single enemy infantry unit. The original gangster of boxes. The goth cousin of the box. Even for 5 points, a rocket launcher is still terrible. And just by putting super in front of the name doesn't make it better. For some reason, this is in the vehicle tab. Hey, could you pop me a light? And now I'm on fire. Ouch. A box with a missile? A box with a better missile. A box with a very powerful missile. It has the armor of the snowblower and enough ammunition to take down half of DC. But honestly, it could still use some portholes. Still pretty cute. Undeniably the best unit in game. Because you have crap infantry, at least you make it up with a very good fire support vehicle. You're going to need it. But you don't need this fire support vehicle, just forget it ever existed. It's like an AVRE, but it's really good for a Canadian renter. It's a Humvee. For some reason the M240 looks like an M1990. It's fast, but it's crap. Still fast, still crap. How come this is not a transport? When you play a Marine deck and want a cheap attack helicopter. This thing's really good in shooting down planes, oh, right. Another good vehicle for role-playing Vietnam. Even though his thing has teeth, it doesn't have much bite. It's not half bad, to be honest. For when you run out of Apache longbows, I mean, there's worse things you could buy. It's like a Chinook, but not, because this isn't actually a Chinook. part anti-helicopter helicopter, part infantry support helicopter. The original gangster of anti-helicopter helicopters. For when you run out of standard Apaches. If it only had some teeth. Oh, there we go. I mean, it's a transport helicopter. Does anyone really use Black Hawks? I certainly don't. It's got 2 engines and that's about it. Unfortunately, it can't really live up to all the hype. I'm sorry. A pretty good cheap bomber plane. A pretty good cheap rocket plane. If you like this plane, you should really watch Flight of the Intruder. For when you need to burn out an entire forest of Viet Cong, I mean Milton Strackley. Man, it's not really that bad. You might as well just use a Skyhawk. You might as well just play a British deck if you want to use American Harriers. The underused seed plane. The overused seed plane. For carpet bombing. As if anyone really uses cluster munitions. I don't see a plane, I just see a guy sitting in midair for shooting down MiG-29s. If only America had like an F-18 interceptor. For when you absolutely need to give the enemy a bit of the D. It fights, but it fights with clusters. It fights, but it has more clusters. A pretty damn good interceptor, I have to say. It was a pretty dumb idea to remove the cannon from planes. Everyone's favourite napalm bomber. It's got a pretty cool paint job. A practical close air support plane. Because Russian cars are better than German cars. An armoured CV on reels. Stroop. Firing time. It's rather boring colours. You think I could paint their tanks like olive green or tan at least. It's a cheap CV. It's a BMP CV for resupply in best Germany. It's a pretty big truck. Hold on, this truck is like the same size, but it can carry 650 more supply? I guess a resupply helicopter could be good if they make a really big helicopter that could carry an awful lot of stuff. If only. These guys used to be cool. It's a man-pad. It's a crappy man-pad. A bit underpowered compared to what other nations can get. Whether it's tanks, planes, or infantry, these guys can get the job done. The name's Schuchen. Moto Schuchen. Need I even explain the joke? Your best bet for knocking out tanks at long range. If you told me in this day and age that I was a tank hunter and all you gave me was an RPG-7, I'd tell you to fuck. Sometimes more isn't better. They're like stormtroopers, but they have a bit of spice to them. Watch out, it's the regiment. If you just spelt cub backwards, you could make it doubly powerful. Crap. Meh. Pretty damn good. Pretty crap. Unlike Yugoslavia, you don't have the spirit of Saint Sava guiding your missiles. I once saw a few of these because I tore down some enemy planes. I don't know why this unit needs to be faster. It already goes 70 kilometers off-road. It's a Shilka. It's an expensive Shilka. God damn it, I forgot to press the B button. My Shilka evolved into a Tunguska. It's a mortar in a rather flat box. Napalm rocket artillery, standard rocket artillery, smoke rocket artillery, cluster rocket artillery. East Germany has it all. Crap. Also crap. Pretty good. Pretty ironic how the Germans would end up using T-34s. Spam tank. Slightly less spam tank. Pretty decent, I have to say. Not too bad. Yeah. Look, if you're playing East Germany for the tanks, you should really reevaluate your options. Small recon helicopter, big recon helicopter, completely overpriced. It's a car. It's a BTR. Car of a big machine gun. A funny looking car of a machine gun. A pretty big car of a pretty big machine gun. Why would you use militia recon infantry? These guys can't actually swim. Eugene has been lying to you. I've been playing this game for a few good years now. I still don't know how the hell to pronounce this unit. A car of 2 machine guns. I really like our cars. Cheap spam recon tank. A pretty crap recon tank. These guys were pretty useful in 1957, but their time has passed. A very fun spam unit. This is a Panzer at Flammen Werf, or Werf's Flammen, enough said. A truck. A car of a rocket launcher. A car of a crap ATGM. Pretty mediocre. Still pretty mediocre. It's a half track with all reels, so I guess it's a full-on track. This is in the vehicle tab in the armory for some reason. Okay. It's no Gavin. It's still no Gavin. I wouldn't pay 15 points for this. I wouldn't pay 15 points for this. I may spend 15 points for this one here. Something Moto Schuchen nerf. Something finish one is cheaper. Something power creep. You might as well just buy this one now, yo. Or you could buy this one for just 5 more points. It's a BMP-2 transport. It's a BMP-2 transport with a Concourse ATGM. A multi-role hind. Look, I'm really sorry to say this, but you can't replace the Hind. A pretty decent Hind. For some reason, this Hind has a low polygon count. Oh, there we go, he fixed it in the later patch. Cheap rocket helicopter. Slightly more expensive, much more better rocket helicopter. Would you rather drop 4 250 kilogram bombs or 2 500 kilogram bombs? Leave your answer in the comments below. For really just need to give the enemy just a little bit of nade, but not too much. For strafing ground targets like it's 1972. Apparently these guys use lasers, but all I see are missiles. I take my mind back from last video, cluster bombs are only really okay. Cheap interceptor plane. The East Germans must have been jealous of the aardvark. Decent interceptor plane. A budget super heavy tank killer. These guys apparently don't use seed missiles to blow up enemy AA. They slowly but surely sneak up behind the radar piece, one reel in front of the other, being ever so sneaky. And then once they get into striking distance of the radar, they strike! With their teeth, of course, as you can see. They kind of just chomp the enemy in half in one big gulp. It's pretty gnarly to see. I'd suggest you zoom in next time you use one of these guys on a seed run. It is a marvelous sight. Not really much of a king. This warrior will be at the back lines. One of the more heavily armoured tank CVs you can get. A sectioned off HQ. For salad tossing. Why don't you take a seat right here? Fast armoured CV. An amphibious supply truck. It's a resupply helicopter. Alright guys, we've got to stop the battle, it's tea time. I wouldn't really fuss using these guys. The best line infantry in game. I'm not biased. You really do not want to mess with Gurkhas. No, seriously, I'd rip your head off. They blow. I can't believe Eugene's got it wrong again. This is meant to be an anti-tank missile. 1 Milan, 2 Milan. Instead of jumping out of planes, these guys jump out the bus. Pretty royal. Very royal. These guys end up getting a bit sassy. Dad's Army. This box isn't too boxy, it kind of retains a few of those boxy features of other boxes. I'd have to give this box a box out of box. Our boot, yes, it's okay. Royal Artillery at its finest. It's not exactly a dignified looking unit. A fatter Flakpanzer Gepard. Tri-Seeden, yes. Hey, I got an idea to make it shoot farther. There we go, all it needed was a muzzle brake. For your cluster artillery needs. The ADAT's little brother. Yup, those are definitely tracks. Pretty solid radar AA. The original Wargame NATO heavy tank. Slightly better version, even more slightly better version. Indestructible. Cheap tank, slightly better cheap tank. Pretty solid mid-range tank. The chief of the chieftain tank line. I wouldn't exactly call this much of a tank. It's a recon version of the previous vehicle. Oh, hello, Rawdon. I forgot all about you. They seriously thought 94 rounds a minute would be an adequate rate of fire for an autocannon. Hello, pizza delivery. God, these things are so cute. What you don't see are the ghosts manning the machine guns. A French recon helicopter? A French recon helicopter with a bit of bite. The name doesn't lie. Everyone's always talking about how the Uncle's part of the SAS, but no one ever talks about the SBS. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. For storming positions. Hey, Marchuchin. How you doing? Unlike real strikers, you don't want to be putting them on the front line. I wouldn't want these guys guarding Thermopylae. The British tried to make the box, but it's just not the same. Why even bother? The armor's decent. The armor's really good on this thing. The ATGM's pretty good, but it's just, yeah, cannon. How about no? For breaking up Irish disputes. It seems like something a hippie would drive. A recoilless rifle car, an ATGM car. Honestly, I think these things look bloody awesome. It's not the prettiest vehicle, but it gets the job done. Decent transport helicopter. There's absolutely no controversy around this helicopter whatsoever. It's pretty bland. A tow? 2 tows. This unit seems rather tempting, but just don't bother. Decent fire support. Do you want to use a British helicopter or a French helicopter in a British deck? So a British, a French, and an Italian aviation engineer walk into a bar. Cheap, slow bomber, a pretty alright ground attack plane. This unit's a hit and miss, I have to say. For killing Soviet super... Oh, not anymore. It's an alright seed plane, nothing amazing. A pretty good seed plane, I have to say. Just a bit slow. 1982. Cheap interceptor. Honestly, it's a better idea to get some of these guys at higher veterancy and a Eurofighter. It's an alright plane, but you gotta admit, the paint job's pretty awesome. A chibi BMP run, a chibi BMP2, a regular old BMP run, decent command tank. This may as well just be a frontline tank. These guys are so cool, they command with a K. Yeah. Cheap CV, slightly armoured CV. I've never actually seen one of these ever be used. Step run. Sees the means of production. The least supply truck there is. Yeah, it's a big helicopter. It's a flying FOB that can't even fit on the screen properly. It's a truck. It's a slightly bigger truck. Mediocre. If you could get these guys in ground transports, I would use them a lot more. Because Russia needs a Marine Force too. Within 15 years, they just upgraded the AP power of the RPG slightly. Your regular line infantry, crap against infantry, good against tanks. Let's be real, we only use these guys to bring up BMP-3s. This was probably made in a factory. It's the middle child of Russian ATGM infantry. The only ATGM infantry you need for Russia. Another middle child. Going from 4 to 5 HE power makes a big difference. But I wouldn't bother with 3 HE, just don't. Do you want flamethrower infantry that constantly spew fire? Or flamethrower infantry that throw fiery rockets? Hey, let's attack his other Spetsnaz. I guess I don't really need this force. The title for these guys look like a face is yawning. I heard they have cool music videos. Fortunately, they don't miss a lot. That's a big gun. It's a big gun that can shoot 2 shots per salvo. Double the power. Cold. Warmer. Hot, hot, hot. It looks pretty dumb, but it does get the job done. The original Soviet long-range anti-plane AA. Same as before, just slightly better range and accuracy. The Cold War Katusha. This thing can dish out a lot of damage. How to ruin the start of a match with only 140 points. A wargame how-to guide. It's crap. Still pretty crap. There's much better mortar options you can get for Redfall. It has worse libido in a high school teenager. Even though it doesn't look like a mortar, it is a mortar. But also, if you really want, you could use it as a really crappy tank. Bertino. It's a something you see an insurgent use, not the goddamn Russian army. Instead of making one gun that shoots really fast, let's just have 4 guns that shoot relatively fast. There's nothing more cool than just seeing hundreds of tracers go into the air. The cheapest Tunguska. This is the best AA unit in game, and anyone who wants to challenge that can fight me IRL. Jesus Christ, just a lot of tanks. World War II favourites, right. Cavalry tanks are not in style. It's not 1955 anymore. Don't bother. The ATGM missile makes up for some things. Just get the 55-point run. This tank's have never been made. They keep on making versions for it. Just right. Nera has an ATGM. This one's not too bad. This is better than an ATGM carrier, not a tank. Some proper Redfall tank. Solid. It's cool. Pretty cool. Let's get the high-end T-72s at this point. Speaking of T-72, this is a good mid-range run. Good for killing K1s and M1 AP Abrams. The ATGM adds quite a bit of bite. Now I'm going to get into some of the heavy hitters. This one's good heavy tank. This is essentially a T-90. Very bloody good. Probably one of the best Soviet mid-range tanks. Meh. Some better T-80s. It's okay. The original super heavy tank. Whether you're on the T-72BU or T-80UM, it's really just down to playstyle choices. Both of them are rather acceptable tanks to pick. Why is this 50 points? Hey, you're not playing a third-rate nation, buddy. You got some pretty cool recon helicopters up ahead. Still don't really bother. Great for finding and eliminating the infantry inside a forest. A great helicopter for an opener. Don't bother. Still don't bother. Yeah, the Russians don't really have any powerful recon tanks. They're okay, but don't really expect anything amazing. The go-to recon infantry. They use a gun that has an effective range of 300 meters and somehow it can kill people from a kilometer in game. That's communism for you. Everything's equal. No. Why is this 50 points? I understand it has worse optics, but it's 15 points cheaper and it actually has some sort of defense mechanism. I don't even know what to say at this point. But the BRDM-3 has pretty much saved the vehicle reconnaissance for Russia. Remember they used to be 10 points and spammable? I do. It's a chibi BMP-1. Still a chibi BMP-1 with a slightly better ATGM. Chibi BMP-2. You see where I'm going at this point. Proper BMP-1. BMP-1 with a good ATGM. These guys just kind of fell off the radar. They used to be all over the bloody place. It's solid. Still solid. The Russians really know how to make good infantry fighting vehicles. I bloody love these guys, so they do have some unnecessary baggage. It's a pretty crap rack. No, still no. Back in the day, all you needed was 2 high-powered machine guns to shoot down a plane. But Rene brought more planes to make sure to bring 4. I wouldn't pay 15 points for this. I wouldn't pay 15 points for this. The middle ground of a Norov and an Afghansky. I wouldn't pay 15 points for this. But I would pay 20 points for this. And yeah, I guess I'd pay 30 points for these guys too. Jesus, how do they fit guys in this? It's as flat as a pancake. Domo arigato, Mr. Roberto. Not the best, but they're pretty damn useful. Grenade launcher. 13 frontal armor. I don't have to say anything else. Unfortunately, ground-based ATGM vehicles are not good for when you really don't want to spend much money. It's an assault gun. An interesting mid-range tank destroyer. Flammen tank. Another Flammen tank. Okay. Why you'd buy it? I don't know. If you just spend 5 more points, you can get something that's decent. A transport truck. Fantastic ground support. I'll be back. A beluga rail. Only the Russians would have the audacity of creating a one-man attack helicopter. Okay, in all seriousness, the cockpit of this thing reminds me of a T-Rex skull. Just use Stinger missiles to blow it up. Russians really like their Hinds. They got Ps, VPs. Hey, Apache looks pretty cool. I wonder if we can do something similar. And Vs. With all the previous attack helicopters in mind, why the hell would you buy this? Seriously. Decent transport heli. It's okay. I actually like using this one quite a lot. Those rockets will mess up anything that get in their way. This is probably the most communist looking plane I could find. It's a rocket plane, cheap cluster bomber. It's good for close range dogfight, and then that's it. Same as before. A very good but very expensive seed plane. It's a very fast cluster bomber. In pairs of 2s, these are actually really good interceptors. No longer the king of cheap anti-tank planes. This one's slightly better. Not too bad because it has fire and forget missiles. It has a good chance of surviving, and so does this one. It cannot beat Tom Cruise. Because you only get 1 per card, just pointless. It's usually a smarter idea to get 2 of these guys and run MiG-25 seed plane. Yeah, Dimitri, you encounter some enemy resistance over the air, just blow up the entire town. It's no A-10. Now, new players may see, oh wow, 16 ATGM missiles on 1 plane. This must be a great idea. It's not. The de facto ATGM plane if you want to play good as Russia. A solid interceptor. A slightly solider interceptor of a cool paint scheme. A decent mid-range interceptor. It drops some nades. It drops some bombs. A heli CV. A big fat box. More powerful than most of the tanks you can get in the tank tab. It's a pretty cool paint job. It's as lavvy as you can see. These hooligans are in command of your troops. A very nice resupply helicopter. This is where most alcohol is stored. A crappy supply truck, a solid supply truck. For when you need to start a bush fire. Just get Commando 90s. Some very solid shock infantry, I have to say. The only thing these guys will be digging is their grave. Unfortunately, these are the best and only ATGM infantry you can get as Anzac. Raw! The Streetus imported manpad is definitely much better than the American run. Like SAS, but with more An absolutely pitiful excuse for an artillery piece. A box of a mortar. Your only anti-helicopter AA. Your only anti-plane AA. Good luck. Bad. Somewhat acceptable. Horrendous. Bad. More of a news helicopter. Why in good God's gracious earth is this 55 points? Yes, the optics are nice, I have to say. And yes, it's fast and it's amphibious. But it has a flipping 50 cal on it. You can get tank CVs for a much better price. Those optics, they do not mean absolute crap because you're not going to be seeing that far with a ground-based recon unit. A recon heli with a bit of bite. Cheap eyes on. A box that wants to be a tank. An actual good recon vehicle. The title is correct. There really is no force with them. Essentially Delta Force before the buff. If you want to call the Delta Force buff a buff. An unarmed rover, a rover of 2 machine guns, a rover with a flipping grenade launcher. Well, if you want some fire support, I suppose. It seems like a good idea, but it dies when anything sneezes on it. Just cook the man some eggs. A ferret that grew some really dumb cat ears. Funnily enough, this is the best tank you can get as Anzac. Recoilless rifle Jeep, slightly better recoilless rifle Land Rover, a crap ATGM on a rather crap vehicle. The good old Gavin, but this time with 2 very old machine guns. Same thing, but with better machine guns. It really wants to be a tank, guys. And also an ATGM launcher. This isn't a vehicle tab. I say for flavour, we should really just make this 5 points. It's just a British stalwart, but with a much cooler name. It's ugly, but it's a truck. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the Australian attack helicopter. A very big transport. It's a Huey. It's a Black Hawk, but with very crap guns. Rhino miniguns. They're cheap, I suppose. It's a very slow F-18C. Yes, it has to drop napalm bombs, but I gotta point out, this thing has one 7.62 machine gun for its main cannon armament during the Cold War. A lot of napalm bombs. Dun 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 dun. Here comes a nuke. It's okay, I suppose. Nothing really fancy. A very basic F-18. A cheap bomber plane. What a joke. It's a car. It's a cool shrimmy car. I've only just noticed that the exhausts on this helicopter are on the front. Pretty strange. Regular old command infantry. A weird looking box. Not the best tank CV you can get. China will grow larger. I'm not fat, I'm just big boned. Unfortunately for you, this is gonna be the best supply truck you're gonna get. The gas mask will when you navigate Beijing. A crap manpad, still a crap manpad. A knockoff of Delta Force, but they're much better. A knockoff of Spetsnaz, but they're pretty much the same. Lose and do it! I'm sorry, that was a pretty terrible pun. There's absolutely no reason to get these guys, because these exist with more AP and for the same price. Looks like it came out of a Russian Revolution. Regular old infantry. Still regular old infantry. An antique piece of kit. It's essentially a BM-21. It's pretty shameful how the French would end up copying its original Chinese anti-aircraft design. These 2 missiles have your aardvark's name on it. Yeah, terrible. A very solid cheap anti-aircraft unit. Would recommend. A mix between a Tunguska and a Flak Panzer Gepard, because China needs to get into that napalm artillery game so they can burn down the dance floor. Terrible artillery piece. Honestly, medium artillery in this game just does not have the same effect. It's pretty pants in general. You just want to get mortars or heavy artillery or napalm artillery or rocket artillery. Just never bother with these guys. Just don't even bother. It's a mortar in a box. A bigger mortar in a box. Barely constitutes as a tank. A very cost efficient tank, but it doesn't have much in the array of armor. If you could never get a Type 59 in road of tanks, this is the game for you, because we got all types of Type 59s. No, really, quite a lot. It's okay. It's okay. Still pretty okay. Still okay. You may be noticing a trend that Chinese tanks don't have much in the array of armor. But who needs armor and you got big bloody gun? Supposedly the bandanas give them infinite ammo. It's a very slow, very old, very small recon helicopter. It's alright. It's no Israeli T-55, but it's still pretty decent. The OG recon tank that people called OP. It's a recon version of that 10-point ZPTU. What's not to love? Pointless. I think something's wrong with the glass. Who needs a sunroof when you got an anti-tank guided missile? It's a thing. When you need to out-ATGM other ATGM vehicles. No, comrade, the tank was fine before. Really, if it could knock out a Tiger, I bet it could knock out an M113. It's a pretty good tank, but it's in the vehicle section. A very good tank destroyer, just lightly armored, but 65 points, 21 AP, 10 rounds a minute? Do I need to explain? A very basic truck. I would definitely pay 15 points for this thing, but not so much on this. It's okay for filling your vehicle or ATGM gap, but the long range one's better. Cheap 5-point transport, another cheap 5-point transport. I would also pay 15 points for this thing. Once again, another recon vehicle in the vehicle tab. Your basic HIP. It's an okay ATGM helicopter. Not the fastest transport helicopter you can get. This little guy can carry all its groceries in one trip. A decent transport heli. Pretty good ATGM helicopter. I don't know about you, but it kind of reminds me of a MiG-15. This thing really looks like a MiG-21. You only got one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. I would barely call it an interceptor. And this thing is Rel. Honestly, most of these short-range fighters are not a good pick. This is pretty decent, but still nothing amazing. It's pretty good, too bad the missiles only do 26 APO. For blowing up capitalist AA installations. It's a rocket plane. It's got some clusters, makes it okay. A very smart bomber pick. Funnily enough, this is not a knockoff. This group commands a pretty awesome looking car. Regular old command APC. Not the best armoured tank around. Your helicopter Russian CV. I love the cheese factory. La Puma la Logistique. It's a very flat looking truck. It could use with some more AP. It could still probably have some more AP. Okay, this is good. Even though they use submachine guns, all their weapon models are boat action rifles. Eugene, please. Kinda like Fusilier 90s, but not as good. They've all gone commando. Rear Legion, Rear Run, with an Eric's launcher. There's one thing this thing doesn't do, and that's miss. Does anyone use reserve infantry anymore? Decent. Above decent. They got a flamethrower. That's pretty hot. Probably the cheapest artillery piece in game. But now, with an autocannon. Now yes, this is mortar artillery. Terrible. Just terrible. Before Caesar came along and stabbed us in the back, this was the best artillery piece for the French. It's no shilker, but it gets the job done. We got 1 Roland and 3 Roland. Hey, I think we skipped a number. Hail Caesar. I can't believe the French would just go and copy a Chinese AA piece. It's pretty lame. Unless I skipped something important in history class, I'm not entirely sure his thing was at the Battle of Friedland in 1807. It's an AA piece, I guess. One of the best man-pad trucks in game. For when you need to capture Moby Dick. Nice little cavalry tank. So, most of the French tanks have something in common. They all have autocannons. They got pretty decent accurate guns. Not a lot of armor. They can move around pretty fast, and are relatively cheap for the price. Except Leclerc, just kind of throws that all out the window and is a proper tank. A flying glass box. That's an overly big gun. Good little recon vehicle. Now, did I fire 5 shots or 6? Pretty decent recon infantry. A favourite in helicopter Russian. Not really good. Slightly better. It's a recon car, that's all it is. This thing could use with a little bit more pizzazz. There we go, that does it. I think I can speak for all of us, yet we've never used this unit. I didn't even know this existed till I did this video. This thing doesn't cost 10 points, it costs 15. Mediocre. Pretty decent ATGM vehicles, but does any of us really like using ATGM vehicles? Or when you just need a transport? Not terrible for 20 points, but just look at the armor value. That's a very long recoilless rifle. Meh, not so meh. Yeah. It's pretty damn fast. It's pretty damn fast with an autocannon. It's a truck. I'd have to say this replaces the Lynx AH-7 in Helicopter Russian tomfoolery. An anti-helicopter helicopter. It's not that hot, but this one may be too hot. This could probably use with a bigger gun. Okay, I think that's big enough.
Do what you want, 'cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate.
Now, Monsieur, do you like your attack helicopters with anti-aircraft missiles? Or ATGMs? If you went with the German option, you could have had both. A cheap bomber, 2 missiles are much better in run, thanks for the buff. I could definitely say the missiles are magic, but the plane looks like a monstrosity. It's a cheap seed. Oh. I must be seeing something. I think it's a Mirage. Okay, sorry for the terrible joke. Because these are pretty decent fighters. And here we are, 6 Bidon Special. Bon appetit. That's a lot of bombs on a rather small plane. Quite a few cluster munitions, yeah? What a weird looking Ninja Turtle. Typical heli CV. The tip of the iceberg of how bloody hard it is to pronounce Polish names. It's got some anti-tank capabilities at least. Cheap tank CV, decent tank CV. It's definitely an upgrade over WD-40. Unfortunately, Scotch are not free. The flag's upside down. Mediocre supply heli, proper supply heli. The star of logistical trucks. Kings of Ronshan Harbour. Or are they definitely red berets? Same thing, but they shoot smaller bullets. Your cheap frontline guys. Mediocre ATGM. Decent ATGM. The Grom goes nom nom nom. Absolutely useless. Would you rather flame with a rocket launcher or flame with a flamethrower? These guys are 10, yo, not 5. I think Polish Marines. Once again, the upgrade is smaller bullets and a better rocket launcher. The Southeast Asian approach to blowing up enemy tanks. Too bad I never received a Gorna Strictly 90 treatment. Bad, slightly better. Yeah. These ROMs are the bomb. So you got your knockoff Katusha, your classic Soviet rocket arty, or this big boy. It kind of looks like a giant pizza box on top. Not too bad. Definitely an insurgent approach to anti-aircraft. Same thing, but we just strapped on some Strelas to the side. Rippee. No point using these guys when you can get these bloody big runs. Same thing too, but it's less armoured. Everyone's favourite cheese shredder. The anti-aircraft unit we all use. I mean, this Opal's bloody wonderful. Ingredient number 1 to start an Operation Baggeration. It's a tank, quotation mark. Your classic T-55, it's just slightly better, still slightly better. Your classic T-72. And trust me, we got a lot more T-72s coming your way. Polish has to get pretty good tank selection considering they are an Eastern Bloc nation. How do we increase the armor value of our tanks? Let's just slap on more reactive armor. All over the place. Every time I look at this vehicle, all I can think of, it looks like a frog. You can actually buy one of these things for like $6,000. If you're really desperate for anti-aircraft, well, you can always get this. It's still not a tank, but at least it's got some optics now. And this is a proper tank, but it's still not great. Why the hell is this thing 50 points? Polish Navy SEALs with a rather funky looking grenade launcher. Cool looking camouflage. You know he's gonna go fast when a windshield is down. A budget Apache longbow. When you just want more regular recon infantry. Remember near a 10 points and super spammable? I do. For the record, majority of vehicle ATGMs are pretty crap. Some reason this isn't a vehicle section again. I don't know why this keeps happening. Those poles, the M's upside down. It's a BMP2. It's a BMP2 that can't swim. What a funky ray of mounted on autocannon. When your initial infantry transports had a bit of anti-aircraft capability. Scott! 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 Come on, Scott, beam me up. It's a cheap truck. Flammen, Reffen, Tanken. To Topaz or not to Topaz? That is a question I pass on to you. I hate these guys in War Thunder. It's a helicopter that wants to do everything, but it can't. Same thing, but it's more cheap anti-air. The original anti-helicopter helicopter. I'm sure that quad machine gun's really gonna make a big difference. Oh boy, some rockets. Oh boy, some ATGMs. Exclamation mark, oh look, it's a Hind D. A Hind DW, haha. Somehow you can fit 15 guys in one of this thing. A very cool looking homemade helicopter for the pose. Your typical hip, your more modern hip. When you want a dogfight some sabers. I think someone can tell the MiG-19, yeah, it's a little bit out of date. Maybe for the MiG-21 too? 4 big bloody rockets. Pretty good, Joe, pretty good. They got a lot of different fighters, those pose. And finally, some actual good runs. Pretty good ground attack plane for the price. Very good, very powerful anti-tank plane with a big mouth. Is that supposed to be like a fist mouth on the front? I have no idea anyway. It's still a pretty good siege plane. You'd think it could carry some more bombs. Like yes, this guy's know what he's doing. Oh, I got this book right here. Airline Battle Strategy Map Guide. Okay. Let's go to Red 4. Yep. Poland. There we go. Okay. Strategy guide. Step 1 to Rinin by SU-7 BKL. Okay, we've done that. Step number 2. Napalm the enemy road. Sure, that should be doable. Just get some fighters rail. Step 3. Question mark. Okay, step 4. Profit. Alright, I'm gonna go play some airline battle. Bon. Your regular Jeep CV, your regular M113 CV, a rear offspring of an M113, oh it's not really an M113 type of M113 CV, your regular cheap tank CV. A lot of South Korea's equipment is very American, surprise, surprise. Oh, just don't mind me, I'm just making a Caesar salad over, god damn it. I tossed it. Your big supply heli? Well, it's no PC bang. Okay, it's just a cargo truck. Korean Marines, uber tier Korean Marines. One of the best man pads in game. One of the worst man pads in game. And in a mediocre one. Why blow up the tanks when you can just ban them? Meh. Less meh. Not the Special Forces infantry I'd use to seal the deal. Your Zerglings. Core, that's a lot of rockets. Mortar, 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 RT, party. Oh yeah, we're going down, baby. It's a RT party. Woo, woo, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. It's a pretty good artillery piece. Just use the previous one, better bang for your buck. Mediocre. Not so mediocre. Like a Korean flak panzer, Japad. Your regular Hawk, your better Hawk. Pretty good mid-range tank. Fairly good high-end-ish tank, but not really super heavy, I would say. Rubbish, crap. The only idiot dumb enough to actually use pattern tanks would, well, be pattern. Does anyone even use recon jeeps? You might as well just use an APC. No point in putting Italy in game if you already have this beast. Okay. I see what you're going for out of the gun, but I don't really think it works. These guys already know they're pretty trash. They're wearing bins on their head. A better Special Forces option than the previous Special Forces team. A truck. Crapto. Less crapto, but still, it's a vehicle ATGM. I don't really think highly of them. Oh my god, is the ATGM going through the person's head? That must be okay, thank god it's fixed. Not a bad 15-point transport. Now this is a pretty good 15-point transport. Anytime you had a grenade launcher or anything, it's 10 times better. Your regular old Gavin. Before those Rayleighs had 3 machine guns on an M113 type vehicle, the Koreans already had 2. They help brighten up your day, and brighten up the rest of your enemies' lives. It looks fast, and by god, it is fast. Fast, and with recon optics. The Sark Teeth would be applicable if this thing actually had a grenade launcher. Sure. Yeah, vehicle ATGM. Yep, vehicle ATGM. If I mention Steel Division, will anyone get triggered? Because, you know, that'd be pretty funny. This might as well be in a Mad Max movie. Fire Support Cobra. More of your proper Cobra. A slightly less proper Cobra. It's a Huey. It's a Black Hawk, but it's not really black. You might as well just be using Cobras, to be honest. Okay, so I want you to spot the difference between both of these helicopters, because there is actually a difference. I'll give you a few seconds. And time's up. The difference is UH-1H cannot be brought up in mechanized, armored, or support style decks. Yeah. Hey, okay. I need a bomber plane right now, but it's got to drop high explosive bombs and also cluster bombs. And actually, let's add some anti-aircraft missiles on it too, so it can fight other planes and it can pretty much do anything. And just pick a cheap plane. We don't need anything crazy, because nothing says peace like Siderider missiles and a Vulcan minigun. Yes, a lot of AMRAAMs. Dropping bombs like in Vietnam. You South Koreans really want peace, don't they? NJ fight for freedom too. Are you really going to be using this as a fighter? Even though this game is kind of based around a Korean war, I think this plane is in the wrong war. Now this is a good fighter. Gee-ree, here we go again. I mean, last time I only covered half of Korea. This time we're covering the other half. So whether this is the better half or the best half, that's up for you to decide. I mean, you got beautiful vehicles such as this thing, and highly advanced command tanks. See how the screen is empty? Yeah, it's the same for North Korean food supply, because they spent all their money on weapons and funny looking trucks. Jeez, I don't like tanks too, but really? The language? Is it really a rifle if it doesn't have any recoil? Your mainline infantry blokes is slightly better infantry blokes. There's nothing wrong with a 10-man flamethrower squad, that's for sure. Simple and to the point. I like the unit name. It It looked like a bunch of hoodlums that kind of caused a ruckus. For 5 more points, it's definitely worth it just for the rocket launcher alone. As you all know, these are the best infantry units in game. If the Russians manage to win World War II PPSHs, then North Korea should be able to win World War III with the same gun. If you manage to get at least 50 of them, you may be able to shoot down a plane. So I once saw an A-10 eat some of these guys up. It told me that they taste pretty yucky. You know, the accuracy is good when you can barely see out the vehicle. And the accuracy in this run is probably better because it actually has windows, even though yes, the dispersion is the same. A bunch of Legos on top of a BRDM. I think the machine gun's really gonna help out here, bud. Decent anti-air piece. We got 2 bloody big ones right here. Looks like a kid in MS Paint designed an artillery piece. Yup, same thing, but he went through more of an edgier phase of the paint job. Even though it's absolutely crap, it does look pretty cute. The reason this thing has such good range is the barrel can actually physically touch the enemy unit, yet it's gonna blow up. Well, it's not in the vehicle section for a change. Regular old shilka. You know, you should just leave the Russians to make anti-aircraft pieces. Don't bother. It's a mortar APC, a large mortar APC. And here we go to the best part. North Korean tanks. As you all know, North Korea has a thriving and wonderful tank industry. So you see, if we put anti-aircraft missile on top of tank, we don't need anti-aircraft missiles at all, period, because all our tanks have anti-air. So all the AA units you saw before, negligible. You don't need them. Just keep buying more of these blokes and you'll have a grand good time. Trust me, I'm a pro North Korean player. And this is pretty much just a direct downgrade over the previous model. There's no AA missiles to be seen. Considering that North Korea lost most of its T-34s within the first year of the Korean War, I wouldn't really see them being too good in a modern Cold War. Sure, you know, we'll put you in the tank section, just don't talk too much, okay? So you see, North Korean tanks aren't really that great. I mean, you got like this thing, T-72M, it's pretty decent. These would be a bit better, but you know. So yeah, like I was saying, North Korean tanks, absolute utter trash. I wouldn't really bother getting any of them, well, except for the Honma IV, or 4 model, as it does have actual anti-aircraft missiles. Same with this T-90, pass on it. I mean, it's not a T-72. It's the Road of Tanks tank. But unlike Road of Tanks, it's pretty oh, wait, hold on. AA missiles, I forgot. Stop everything, fill these guys up, even more anti-aircraft for your perfect anti-aircraft net. I mean, those North Koreans, they're bloody smart. Right along face. Yeah, BRGM. Sure. Your recon vehicle, yeah. You really do look the part. Once again, who needs EA when you got AA recon? Crap. Yeah, still kind of crappy, but not too bad. A recon tank. Oh my god, it's a grill. Recon heli. Another recon heli. A recon UAZ, because we all love using these. It's a vehicle ATGM. And this is also one too. Your cheap 10-point transport, even cheaper 5-point transport, and another one. Regular old BTR-60, and another one, but a bit more pricier. And of course, you know, a BTR-80A, just because. Core, my son! I think it is a BMP-1. Unlike Company of Heroes, it can't act as artillery support. Well, for now, it's the closest we're probably going to get to Steel Division Eastern Front. I'm sorry if I triggered anyone by mentioning Steel Division. Flamethrower tank. It's a transport. North Koreans have quite a lot of transport APCs. And this is what I mean again. The penultimate anti-aircraft unit. Your tanks have AA, you have recon AA, and now you have infantry transport anti-aircraft units. I mean, what's not to love? A truck. You have one in the support section, and now you have another one in the vehicle section. Just some grenade launchers, nothing much. Just some rockets, nothing much. Just some ATGMs, you know, nothing much. It's an MI4. Really quite rubbish. An MI4 with a lot of rockets. Yeah, it is definitely a gunship, yes for sure. Probably everyone's favourite version of the Hind, because it's essentially a Hind D that you don't have to buy infantry with. And just a regular Mi-8 transport. Pretty cool looking plane. Do I even need to explain, make a joke about the B5? It's just already here. We all know what it does. It's a B5. It flies over. And it's got this big bloody bomb underneath, right? This 3,000 kilogram ginormous monster. And what happens, it flies over the target, and then it drops the bomb, and it goes shoo, 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 and then it lands on top of a town or whatever you're trying to blow up. It goes and that's why you buy B5s. But I wouldn't buy F5s, though. I mean, you know, it's just a little bit out of date. Wrong Korean War. Same with this. I don't think air-to-air rockets are useful, to be honest. And same with those air-to-air missiles. I wouldn't really bother. It's an outdated plane. The missiles are inaccurate, but holy moly, don't they kill? Same thing, but with some AA missiles. Somewhat decent fighter. A proper fighter. I mean, look at that paint job. Is there any trees or foliage up in the sky? This thing will be bloody invisible. It's got all those weapon racks for anti-tank missiles. And they only decide to fit 4 out of 8. Come on. Well, to end it all off, this North Korean plane has underwater camouflage, which will probably be pretty useful.
집중 입장이며 도쟁 방식입니다. 때까지 선멸의 조준용 안에 집어넣고 최후 명령의 시각을 기다리고 있습니다. 어린일의 철천지 원수 미제 침략자들에게 죽음을 주자.
Guten Tag, and welcome to another Every Unit Summarized. And today we're going to see if West Germany is the best Germany. Fast little command car, fast medium-sized APC. Even though there's a ventilation shaft in front, it seems like it should shoot a laser. I like the armoured command tank, a rather heavily armoured command tank. If you look in the oil barrels of a West German FOB, it's not actually oil, it's just beer. A solid resupply helicopter by Jupiter's cock. What a truck. It's big, it's boxy. I like it. Make sure that when you're making a West German deck, you put these groups in it. Too bad I don't have FG-42s. The GIF really, it explains itself. Given an enemy airplane, a red eye isn't exactly the most effective way to shoot them down, but stinging them also works. At least they come with an M113. With them better than 10 points and spammable, I'm kinda glad those days are over. French technology, more French technology. Shockingly good shock infantry. Shockingly good shock infantry with a really good rocket launcher. Holy moly. A classic in anti-aircraft technology. A better version of the previous one. No Tunguska, but it can get the job done. Once again, more French tech. More French tech as usual. I'd highly recommend just taking the previous one, because the armor makes quite a big difference, especially when you're getting artilleried. If you change the paint job a little bit and make it look a bit more rougher, this could be a vehicle from the Mad Max universe. Pretty standard rocket artillery. It's pretty nice to know that the God of War would be guiding my unguided rockets. Does anyone really use M109s? Honestly, I just find it much better to just get super heavy artillery pieces instead of these mediocre pieces of crap. A long range death gun. Everyone's favourite General Blue 4 General Mortar unit. Just get the previous one, it's much cheaper. Okay, now we're on to the best part of the West German arsenal. The tank tab. Except for the M48. I mean, we can just skip him. I see a Leopard one-liner tanks. An absolute classic. I mean, they're alright tanks, don't get me wrong, but you usually need a little bit more armor to survive those deadly Russian ATGMs. A true modern battle tank. A real good mid-range model. Leopard 2A4 versus T-82. Take your bet. Or just bring a 2A5 because holy moly, this thing kills everything. I like my recon infantry to run faster than 15 kilometers an hour. It can spot some things for a cheap price. Make sure to take some pentazamine before you take the shot. But you just want to go on a nice afternoon drive. theoretically, this unit can kill every other unit in game, and CM too. Why don't you just saunter off, because you're a piece of decent all-round recon APC, and a much more expensive and slightly better model. Might have been useful in the Korean War, but not so much in the 90s. 1 Milan, 2 Milan. Okay, so it has a cannon. It is a hunter, because it is a tank destroyer, meaning it is a hunter. And it's also a panzer, so the title of the unit is very correct. A real fun spam unit. I would not underestimate these guys at all. Classic Gavin, but back in black. At least it has an autocannon, but having an ATGM really makes a big difference. Now, the autocannons not show crap. For 25 points, you are getting 24 AP power and a good autocannon. I highly recommend these guys. I would not want to be the one loading a 50mm autocannon. By Jupiter's cunt, why can't this be 1 point? I think these guys are on War Thunder. It seems like something that you'd see in a Thunderbirds episode, not an actual military. I prefer my Jaguars when they're flying, or when they have tow missiles, that works too. A fucking fast APC. Fucking fast APC of an ATGM. If you ever take command infantry, always get the Milan model for your transport. A bit of shameless self-advertising here, but if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you watch a Wildlife War game on the Riesel. The link for it is in the description below. And if I can summarize the Riesels, they're pretty good vehicles, if they can actually make it to the front line. I wouldn't pit it against a KA-52. Cheap ATGM helicopter, better ATGM helicopter with a pretty nice little logo on the front. It's a Huey. It's funny how it looks like the roads are about to tip over at any minute. When you play West Germany, you're not really getting it for the Air Force, and this is one of the reasons. Even though you can spam these guys very effectively. At least it's a Phantom with a cannon. It's really your only proper fighter you can get, and it's okay. The last time the Germans said they wanted peace, they invaded Czechoslovakia. A pretty solid seed plane. It's bomber. It drops bombs. Some bombs. It's okay. I mean, if you play a Eurocore deck, just get Frontier planes. I'm going to do my best to try and get through this video without making any racist Jewish stereotypes. It's a command car truck. If you put two of these together, you get a BTR-80. I think the acronym stands for Must You Give a Fuck? It has better armor than a lot of command tanks. Except for this command tank, it's already pretty well armored and armed. A command helicopter. It just came to me that we never actually see the FOB in the armory screen, so maybe, just maybe, we are in the FOB already. I didn't know the Israelis use Brazilian trucks. For a supply truck, it costs a lot. Yes, you're a supply helicopter. Make sure you're not barcan up the wrong rule. The Bazak is pretty crap. Even though they're pretty good, I still think there's some better ATGM infantry available to an Israeli deck. But it's not easy just to skip this. Pretty awesome shock infantry. Against infantry, I sell mess ya at. Girls, in my war game. So, do you like Belgian weaponry? Or American/Belgian weaponry? Blue 4 units? Using red 4 guns? Next thing, I'm gonna give F-18s to a red 4 faction. Just get Gavati. Same thing as before. Technically, it's an AU unit, just not a very good one. They're decent at killing the hover-it-in helicopters. I got the perfect Shakespeare quote. Et tu Brute, I think that's the right play. A mediocre chaparral, a mortar APC or some eyeliner. I think this is Mad Max Deranged's half brother. You can't give Blue 4 Napalm LRS. I mean, you're ruining the Red 4 flavour, and that flavour's already very tasty. I think the next step is for them to add Scud launchers. Relatively small, but packs a pretty decent punch. And like most Blue 4 nations, they always succumb to pretty crappy M109s. Or 230mm artillery pieces. Yeah, I mean, it's no Patriot. This thing is showing off its big gun. When a tank is out of date, you just slap on more reactive armor. Pretty decent mid-range tank. Same thing here, another decent mid-range tank. And now we get into the more interesting lines of tanks in Wargame, the McCurva. I think it has a better McCurva too, to be honest. A very, very solid tank. I mean, it even has a grenade launcher. I mean, it should have 24 frontal armor. It does have a front red engine. I wouldn't even classify it as a tank. Yeah, I think this thing has definitely shot something. At least once. The title sounds more like a diss instead of a main battle tank. It's an interesting weapon loadout, but not entirely effective. One of the more stranger recon APCs. I think its M103 has been exposed to a little bit of radiation. You may have a lot of machine guns, buddy, but you're still a pretty crappy recon car. I'm still fucking shorty. Another vehicle that looks like it should be in a Mad Max movie. A pretty fun little anti-aircraft recon unit. You can definitely snipe a few helicopters with this chap. If you put some camouflage over it, it becomes a recon helicopter. A T-55 recon tank with a lot of reactive armor. That's a lot of machine guns. A perfect example of how well balanced the implementation of the 5-point increment system is beneficial to Wargame. I mean, yes, it is rather fast, but does it have 3 machine guns? A tow missile, another tow missile, another one, but this is actually good because it's got 2.8 kilometer range. I can see why you call it a giraffe. This one does look a lot less like a giraffe. It really needs that tan paint job. Really absolutely must positively blow up a tank from 3 kilometers away. I know I always keep having problems in the vehicle tab or showing up recon units, but shouldn't this be in the tank tab? Israel, I think this is a Humvee, not a Hammer. You think of the title of the vehicle, it'd be 2 nuns driving it. We almost have enough units in Wargame to make a World War II game. Well, short of. It's essentially a mobile guard tower. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. 3 whole machine guns. What's not to love? Okay, no, seriously. I really do think this is bugged. Shouldn't this also be in the tank tab? Nice little recon vehicle. Once again, another World War II unit. A Huey? Another Huey. It's mediocre. Not so mediocre. It's a DLC nation and it actually has some pretty decent attack helicopters. And even got some cheap Cobras too. I mean, look, there's even a Cobra on it. Too bad it doesn't have side grinders. Okay, it's a very cool transport helicopter because it can essentially kill the majority of tanks very easily. But you gotta be a bit of a Nimrod to buy it because you can only buy it with Special Forces Infantry and it already costs 80 points. Aid would be a pretty good rapper name. I do love it when my seaplanes can act as fully functional fighters. The pilot is probably called Barry. A very decent fighter plane. I don't think it's very nice to use homeless people as bombs. Harrier GR7, eat your heart out. For a rather small plane, it carries a lot of bombs, Jesus. Okay, next. I guess the former president needed to find a new job. A more affordable air superiority fighter. No way you managed to get, what, a dozen aerial kills with just 2 missiles? Come on. Okay, now you're really taking the piss. Hydra missiles, trove kills? Come on. That's, quite a bit of napalm, yeah. His rings are sweaty, landing gear reek, tail ring is heavy, there's bullet holes on his fuselage already. You go flaccaretti. He's nervous, but in the cockpit he looks calm and ready to drop a bomb. But he keeps on forgetting where the target is. The radio chatter gets oh so loud. He arms a payload, but it won't drop out. He's getting shot down. How? He owes only 1 HP now. The time over target runs out. Bombs out. Over. Hello and thanks for checking out another Every Unit Summarized. And this week we're going to be checking up on the long forgotten Czechs. Standard T-72 command tank. It's a command helicopter, KK. The go-to command vehicle for any Eastern Bloc nation. Decent command APC. I don't think the machine guns are going to help you when you get helicopter rust. I don't want him to stab the enemy. I want him to shoot him. Check out the size of the effort. Oh yeah, we can't even see it. Not exactly the most supply efficient supply helicopter, but the Czechs are pretty big trucks. Very big trucks. An automatic noob tube. An interesting weapon loadout, especially with the long-range recoilless rifle. Why use mod Strackley when you can just use mod Shushan in an Eastern Bloc deck? I do like RPGs, but I do prefer when a squad has a machine gun to boot. Back in Airland Battle, I'd set up decks with a lot of Strela 2 cards and just trucks, and then just spread them out the entirety of the map. Eventually, I killed something. Eventually. For double the price, you don't really get that much. Crap ATGM, alright ATGM, bloody solid ATGM. Yeah, much more fun to use in a European escalation. Pretty decent weapon loadout. When you run out of regular infantry, you can always check up if you have any reserves left. Pretty standard flamethrowers. Pretty crap. Not so bad, pretty standard 203mm long range RT. This is Adana, and this is on Adana. No one ever really uses cups anymore, and for good reason. Okay, I take what I said back. I should have checked what the next unit was gonna be before opening my big fat mouth. The Yugo Dream Machine, but Czechoslovakian. Okay, maybe a crap anti-aircraft piece, but no reason to get stroppy. It was pretty cool in Airland Battle when it was still actually kind of useful and was like a budget Tunguska. Now it's not so great, to be honest. Pretty standard OSA. Just like how the AKM was an improvement over the AK-47. Same thing with this OSA. It looks pretty ridiculous how I just strapped on some anti-aircraft missiles on top of a BRDM. Because it looks much better when on top of an MTLB. For such a big truck, the rocket tubes aren't exactly big. A weird looking but pretty awesome little artillery unit. Standard T-55, or T-55, even more T-55. Okay, at this point it will essentially get an anti-tank guided missile carrier, and also has a cannon and a bit of armor, and a machine gun. So the Czechs get one T-62, and it's pretty passable. Bog standard T-72. A T-72 with an M in front. A not so bad mid-range tank, or it used to be better. Same with this thing, it's pretty respectable compared to other Soviet tank counterparts. For the same price. Once again, if you got an old and outdated tank, you just slap on reactive armor. Check it out, it's got an autocannon on top, that's pretty cool. Just how I like my recon vehicles. Affordable, ferocious, and amphibious. There's not many situations where you need exceptional optics on a ground-based recon vehicle. Just get the previous one. Me too. A Czech BRDM. Czech BRDM with a recoilless rifle on top. In the road where you have to compete with Yugoslavian stealth tanks, I wouldn't really get a T-55 recon tank. I've always really loved these guys. A 10-man shock infantry recon squad with a sniper rifle. Pretty awesome combo. They're special, and yeah, very special. Machine gun and back of a UAZ. A classic. Once again, 55 points. Yes, it's fast. Yes, it has exceptional optics, but you never need exceptional optics. And we're in the land of crappy ATGM vehicles. Yup. Even more yup, yeah. Now we enter land of BVPs. Pretty standard. Pretty standard. Once again, pretty standard, but it has a nice paint job. It's no Gavin. The recoilless rifle can be used for in some situations, but when you're on the road where you have to compete with Marshal Tito's double-barreled recoilless rifle vehicles, it's not really worth. Okay, so 123mm cannon's cool. What if we get 4 of them and strap them together? Put a larger autocannon on top instead. That works too. So instead of getting BTRs, you get Czech OT-64. And overall, pretty awesome. So in 1938, the Nazis would come through and take a bunch of Czech tanks and use them in their panzer divisions. By end of World War II, the Czechs would take all the Nazi equipment back and use them during the Cold War. Funny how it works out. Even modify it a bit and add a recoilless gun on top. And then you got this thing. I love using this thing. It's like this weird, crappy Avra with also ATGM capabilities for an alright price. It's kind of like a modern day Stug 3. Check it out, a regular truck. I like flamethrowers. That's all. So if I could just check my math real fast, an Mi-25 should be one better than an Mi-24, statistically speaking. Just like how I have to carry all the groceries in run, the Mi-4 has to carry all the rockets in run shorty. But an Mi-35 would have to be like 11 times better than an Mi-24. Or so I keep saying to myself, but 240mm rockets, when used efficiently, are bang on. They're great. They're awesome. Yeah, I don't think the rocket models really agree. Okay, you really need to check yourself before you actually consider buying an Mi-4T when you have other awesome helicopter options. A regular old hip. A pretty awesome hip. You know you're in the wrong era of fighter jets when you're using air-to-air rockets. I'm not gonna lie, I did prefer when these things dropped smoke. Yes, it wasn't the most efficient and it was very niche, but it was pretty fun dropping smoke on the enemy instead of actual bombs. Everyone's favourite Grand Theft Auto stunt plane. But too bad the Grand Theft Auto one doesn't have any weaponry. What makes these napalm bombs special is that they're extra sticky and extra explosive. Regular MiG-21, pretty decent, cheapest ground attack plane. Pretty decent, cheapest fighter plane. I think under any circumstance, I wouldn't want 2,000 kilograms of bombs being dropped on top of me. So you got your ground attack missiles, and you also got your ground attack rockets to really spice things up. So before I check off for this video, I do want to state the Czechs are essentially the best ringman in Wargame. They're pretty terrible by themselves, but when mixed in with Eastern Bloc or Entente, they bring some very useful units to the table. Oh, and this is an alright seed plane, I guess, but I think you usually need more than one missile to be efficient. If you look closely, you can see there are actually 2 machine guns, but for some reason only one of them works. Just your regular old command infantry. Woohoo. Well, it's no Mitsubishi Evo. Ah, this looks awfully lot like a Humvee, but no, it's a Hayati. It looks like a flat-packed Gavin. I think there's a few command APCs that have more armor in this. So, you got a cargo? Oh shit, I didn't want you to see my hentai collection. Nice thing about a lot of Japanese aircraft is they have that big red dot, which pretty much gives the enemy a good place to shoot at. A very good ATGM piece, highly recommend. Not too bad, but the weapon loadout is a little bit left to be desired for. Well, hello here. You guys are rather cutie, eh? Okay, hand over the rocket launcher. Portable surface-to-air missile. A nice, simple acronym. We could just call it Stinger, that's also a pretty cool name. Alright, regular infantry. Really, if you're playing a Blue Dragon stack, you're just gonna get Korean infantry instead. Good old-fashioned shit-tier artillery. It wouldn't be an Every Sunrise without one of these motherfuckers. And we just got more. And it's not too bad, but not great either. So the top part looks like it should be holding chickens, not rockets. 30-point half-tracks. I love him. And I have a little bit of love for my 40-point half-track brethren too. Decent long-range anti-air. Bit of a joke, really. It's just like one of my Japanese animes. A Japanese M4A3 Chaparral. Remember before they weren't prototyped and everyone used them in general blue 4-decks? I do. This unit has a pretty good survivability rate because it can never actually get to the front line. So, Japanese mid-range tanks are kind of like Leopard. Look pretty funky and they don't have much armor, but they do have a pretty decent gun for a pretty decent price. And then you got that one crazy awesome run, it has a bloody grenade launcher on it, holy shit. The same thing applies to what I said 5 units ago. It's cute, and it's one of the most effective recon vehicles in game, what's not to love? Once again, Japanese infantry aren't exactly great. Same with most of their recon vehicles if it's not a Hatcher Naniseki. Not too bad for 30 points. So supposedly there's meant to be a unit here, but I'm not seeing it. It's a truck. Bradley, eat your heart out. It's an odd looking Humvee, but it's a Humvee. Very generic looking, but you're not going to be thinking it's bland when it's shooting grenade launchers at your face. Oh boy, a recoilless rifle. The missiles look more like surround sound systems and actual weapons of war. Not bad for 15 points really. Not bad for 25 points either. Before the Israelis had 3 machine guns and a 5-point transport, the Japanese had 2. A Japanese Ontos. Just your regular old Cobra. It's an alright helicopter. Standard cheap tow missile, a little bird. And a Huey. There's not really much exciting in the helicopter tab now, is there? I have to admit, those are some pretty smart bombs. It's no Street Fighter character. I'm sure there's some Wargame mods that actually had some really reebie-ass skins to these Japanese units. Just like in real life. Hello, and welcome to another Rang Rouge unit of the week. And today we're taking a look at the F4 EJ Phantom Fighter, or otherwise known as the Japanese Air Superiority Fighter, available to, well, Japan. So if we were to talk about the F4 Phantom in previous units of the week, so to keep it brief, the F4 was the American second generation all-round jet plane that they used throughout the 60s and the 70s. The major aspect of it is that the original models didn't have a cannon or pretty much any guns whatsoever. It was solely reliant on missiles, as they thought, hey, missiles are all we need now, let's just have missiles, no point even putting a cannon in it. They then realised pretty fast, especially during Vietnam, that having a cannon is actually pretty useful because missiles weren't so accurate in the 60s, and eventually you run out of missiles rather quickly, and so with the F2 model they reinstated a 20mm minigun. Japan would end up buying roughly 100 F4 Phantoms from Lockheed throughout the 1970s, and they do a little bit of upgrading themselves. One of the major ones is the Japanese equipped F4 Phantoms with anti-ship missiles, which is rather smart considering they're an island nation. In-game, the F4EJ is a 90-point air superiority fighter with 3 weapons. So first up, we got that Vulcan minigun, and it's your pretty standard air superiority fighter cannon. Yeah, it does shoot a bit faster compared to regular cannons because, well, it's a minigun. Secondly, we got some AIM missiles with 2.1 kilometers against helicopters, 3.5 kilometers against airplanes, 35% accuracy, 4 HE, and 4 rounds of ammunition. Yeah, a bit more on the lower scale, but you usually have enough missiles to eventually kill a target. And finally, we have some good old-fashioned mid-range Sparrows with 7 kilometer airplane range, 35% accuracy, 5 HE, and once again, 4 missiles. Pretty much your standard long-range, or mid-range really, anti-plane missiles, but their accuracy is not so great considering. And if we pop down to the Miscellaneous stats, no armor as it is just an airplane, 10 HP, 10% ECM, very good air detection with 900 km speed, a turn radius of 400, a time over target of 180 seconds, it can be brought up in all category types of decks, and same with types, there's no real type restriction either. In battle, this really isn't anything fancy, it's a pretty standard mid-range fighter plane. The nice thing is it has short range and long range missiles. The piss poor thing is they're both pretty damn inaccurate, but you do have quite a bit of missiles, so eventually if you shoot them enough you should be able to kill 1 or 2 planes. It's not the best fighter per se for a Blue Dragon deck. You're much better just getting the Japanese F-15 for, well, obvious reasons, but it's not too terrible either. It has a cool paint job, which is pretty cool. And Mr. Aaron, I know you've been wanting this unit a lot, but for fuck's sake, this is the last time I'm going back to Raw Game for Unit of the Week. So with that out of the way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as usual, please just take... Oh, we have to continue the rest of units, don't we? Well, I'll see you in a few seconds. Ah, it's Woody Woodpecker. I think I saw he's in a movie once where they try to kill Godzilla. Out of all the nations, Denmark has to be one of the most boring. See, regular APC command vehicle, regular Centurion command vehicle, regular infantry command, and a big old invisible FOB. A good bog standard 20-point truck, and a rather cheap 10-point run. Dragonair sounds like a knight who would ride a dragon and kill a bunch of peasants, but it's just some dudes with German equipment. A pretty functional special forces squad. So you think you may notice with a bunch of Danish infantry already is a lot of their helmets are pretty much just IKEA rubbish bins with some camouflage netting on top. I guess it helps the littering problem, yo. So when the Danish military ran out of barracks, they told their infantry dudes to live in a garden. Be... or not to be. Not to be when helicopters fly around the M93. Yep, okay, sure. Yep, okay. That's Steel Division on the phone. They want their anti-aircraft unit back. Regular old Gavin Mortar. So someone last time asked why I hate the mid-range artillery pieces, such as the 155s, for example. So, for example, here we got his Danish artillery piece and the Caesar. And the main thing that makes the Caesar better than this 100-point piece is the dispersion rate. It's almost half the size. And when you're using artillery, especially the more mid-range, higher-end stuff, you're not using it to suppress stuff. This isn't Steel Division. You're using it to kill specific infantry units, try to kill APCs, like vehicles, anti-aircraft units, etc. And you want to have something that's accurate and point over long range. Also, Caesar has better rate of fire. Yes, of course, you can usually get more of these cheaper pieces for a better price, but just in terms of bang for your buck, the Caesar, the bloody AS-90, etc. are much better for that pinpoint role that you're going to be using artillery for anyway in Wargame. Your regular old Hawk. Your regular old slightly upgraded Hawk. Pretty awesome Hawk, yeah. Can't get cheated. One of the 2 good anti-aircraft units that Denmark gets. And January got the automatic. I mean, it's a pretty good idea. If you have a naval cannon, why not strap it onto a tank? Your regular budget Centurion. Still a budget Centurion. And a 45-point run. It's still pretty shit, yo. Regular German Leopard. A pretty solid tank for the price, but considering this is the heaviest piece of army you get for Denmark, it kinda speaks volumes about the usability of this nation. It's an alright recon heli. You're gonna have a hard time defending when all you got is 14 rockets. Jaeger, 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 Jaeger. Sorry, my video editing software just messed up here. He's a pretty good recon infantry. Most nations have this tank as a regular tank, but hey, at least it's got some recon optics now. That's cool if it could actually get to the flipping front line. I remember this thing being pretty good, but it's not so good anymore. I think the Danes may be a little bit dyslexic. That V should be a W, and that K should be a C. I wouldn't want to go into a modern day war with just a truck with a machine gun. Unless it was this truck. Now this is a pretty badass looking car, yo. They have such a big turret, and all they could fit in is a bloody machine gun. What the hell? 5 guys with some recon optics. Yeah, it's a recoilless rifle jeep. Woohoo. A tow jeep, and a usually pretty decent tow 2 jeep. A lovely armoured personnel carrier. An even better one because it has more frontal armour. I mean, do you really need amphibious M113s? Not really. A tow on an M113. Another tow on an M113. An autocannon on an M113. They're very creative. Pretty cool looking truck. And a not so cool looking truck. I'm sure the Danes have a very diverse and useful helicopter loadout. I mean, we've got a cheap 20mm. We got some tow 2s on a Fennec. That's pretty good. Good old Lynx transporter with a pretty badass paint job, I'd have to say. This looks like something you'd see in a skin pack. And some tow missiles and a Little Bird. Wow, that was it. So you got 2 missiles and 30% accuracy on each missile. So really, if you add it up, you got 60% accuracy. I know math. And if you got 6 500-kilogram bombs, you essentially have 3 tons worth of bombs. And that's quite a lot of bombs. I'm not gonna lie, for the longest time, I thought this was the F-1000. I didn't realize the D was not supposed to be silent. At least we got some more modern jets now with some F-16. A pretty good Scandinavian interceptor, not gonna lie. And a pretty good ground attack plane as well. I mean, the Danes do have it somewhere. I don't think dropping napalm bombs into the sun would make you a very effective starfighter. I don't think 4 Sidewinder missiles is gonna be enough to get you through a wargame dogfight. Well, it's a command APC and a command BMP. Ayo, an absolute speed machine. I don't have any commento to make. It is kind of weird having exhaust on the front of an aircraft. Regular old T-55 command tank, and a good old-fashioned T-72 command tank. The oil barrels are actually just filled with vodka. Your mid-range supply helicopter. Okay, and so it's a pickup truck. And this is a regular truck. I was gonna comment that they only have Strellas, but Jesus Christ, mods on the guns? Okay, finally an assault rifle. Your regular infantry. Usually when you get a 90s infantry upgrade, it's the rifles and machine gun that change, not the rocket launcher, and this isn't even that much of a change. Now when they said they're going to be fighting in a cold war, they didn't actually mean the winter war. Okay, so you're telling me a cold war game features an infantry anti-tank rifle team, but Steel Division doesn't? I guess this qualifies as a Panzer, and these are Jakaris. And this also is a Panzer, and these are much better equipped Jakaris. Now, do I feel like using a Soviet ATGM today? Or Israeli? It's really hard to make these choices when you're Finland. They do ran faster than other infantry units. And these guys do too. And I really want to note that the 90s Finnish infantry units look pretty cool. It's very modern looking. They managed to find this in an old musty weapons depot. 2 bloody great handfuls. Oh, I like the big ones. Don't you? But, you know, the small ones work. I can live with the small ones. Now, this seems okay. The classic. 60% accuracy is pretty accurate, but I wouldn't really call it a marksman. Psh, these guys are crap. These guys aren't as crap, but still, it's mid-range artillery nonetheless. So we got some clusters, some napalm, and some regular old high explosives The holy trifecta of rocket artillery. Oh, hey Sergey, how you doing? I really like the modification you made to the zoo. It's pretty cool. It's okay artillery. Yes, this is what we're talking about. High explosive, high powered mortar units. Finland has a lot of technical star units, as you may guess. It's almost like a fight in a guerrilla warfare fashion. And a more regular mortar, but you got 60 points to high powered mortar, so why even bother? Nice to see some British tank love. Your regular spammy T-55. A slightly better T-55. A rather mid-range T-72, not bad. Who need ATGM when you got big fucking cannon? A super heavy T-72 at its finest. A bit makeshift looking, but it does the job. More of a park ranger helicopter and less of a military reconnaissance helicopter. Not too bad considering it does have stealth capabilities. I have no joke, this is just a really cool vehicle. This seems fine. It's funny because it looks like a civilian car. Whatever you do, don't get shot. I'm amazed they didn't stick like a T-72 turret or an ATGM on this thing, to be entirely honest. It wouldn't be a wargame DLC without some recon tank power creep. What a bunch of pansies. This seems fine. It's a BMP-2. It's no Gavin, but it can kinda get the job done. Speaking of Gavin, you'd think I'd at least get one or two, considering the whole NATO-Soviet thing, but I guess it didn't like any. Anyway, it's the Vigilant, it has shitty ATGMs. And this is the Patapasajon, it has a NATO. And a TOW-2. I wouldn't pay 15 points for this. I'd pay 10 points for this, yo. I would pay 15 points for this. The log should really give it some extra side armor. Like I said, technicals. Mediocre. When you need more gun, just put gun on top of gun. But you don't need more gun when you got an automatic grenade launcher. A truck. Good ATGMs on a rather flimsy helicopter. It's an Mi-8 transport. An Mi-8 with rockets. They never really fixed the rate of fire bug with this, didn't they? It's a Puma, but super. The B-5's little brother. You're probably gonna need 2 missiles to actually have a chance to hit something. Hey, it's the aircraft from Arma 3. God, I'd wish to get some better Finnish interceptors. That's a lot of Napier, buddy. Yeah. Okay. Sure. Seriously, are there not any good fighters? Okay, we got like a MiG-21, yeah, is a MiG-21. We got a bloody Draken, and then we've got a MiG-29 here with only 2 mid-range missiles. What's the oh.
It'd be pretty useless for this group to stab anyone, because they just have guns. And you can't exactly stab anyone when you're in a truck. It's a very odd looking box with an odd gun. An alright command APC. A pretty good command tank. Here's a supply truck lesson 101. Always take the biggest supply trucks in your deck. The inside of every Swedish FOB is one very large IKEA, and all the replacement parts are flat packed. Cool camouflage, I guess. In a game before this run, these used to be some of the best infantry units that you could get. No joke. A beefy Special Forces squad. And more the same thing, but with an arguably better rocket launcher. It may be a very odd looking man pad, but by god, these really do kick some ass. Just look at the stats. The Northland Jaegers have recoilless rifles. Not really much of a panzer, I would guess. Same here, not really a panzer guys, more of a heliboard infantry. What is it with this region having really good missiles? Oh hello, we're here to fumigate Wonsan Harbour. If you've ever played a little game called Active Aggression, you may remember this unit. But if you don't, well, you know, I have 1 mortar and you can have 2. You versus the guys he tells you not to worry about. What a strange looking AA piece. I think it's a bit unfair. I mean, this isn't exactly a Reek vehicle. Any IFV can be an AA piece if it just points its gun up. Now this is just silly. Same with this, definition of silly. Where I have 1 man pad, and you can have 2 better runs. Whoa! You can never go wrong with a Centurion, unless you're fighting a bunch of T-80s. Yeah, and it can go very, very, very wrong. So on second thought, maybe not get Centurions. Without a doubt, one of the coolest tanks ever designed. I mean, it's a smart idea building the fence to keep the kids off your tank. It may not have the highest AP value, but at 15 rounds a minute, you can't exactly go wrong. A standard super heavy, nothing too crazy. A really weird looking box. Ah, you thought I would penetrate your armor with my autocannon, but it's in fact just a machine gun. Oh shit, I shouldn't have told you that. The Steel Division ones are better. It will spot stuff for you, but in the air. What a weird looking car. It gets you from A to be really fast. Pathetic. You'll pretty much get a light tank in the vehicle, so what's not to love? The reason you can barely see it is because it has its cloaking field activated. Now I've seen this vehicle a few times, it looks like a Gavin with a frog face. Like really, it kind of looks like a frog on the front. A proper IFV. The majority of vehicle ATGMs in game are terrible. Changed my mind. The bloody rifle's as long as the car. Okay, it's a no-brainer. You really get this one over this one. Just look. I didn't know they had African safaris in Sweden. The party bus. The party truck. It's a Huey. It's a mini Chinook. And it wouldn't be a minor Nason without having some sort of small ATGM helicopter. A mediocre napalm bomber. Who doesn't love Swedish aircraft design? Really, they all look so cool. I mean, this one has like 2 bloody rings. Even for the time, air-to-air rockets seem like a rather silly idea. I mean, it's cool you got air-to-air rockets, but it might help him to also be air-to-ground. Just saying. Pretty pathetic fighter. Pretty good fighter. Now, yes, this is what we're talking about. And by God, it looks super bloody cool. And it has really good weapons. A long time ago, I believe this used to drop smoke bombs, but now it drops rather inaccurate HE missiles, which require a lot of micro to be used efficiently.
These command infantry definitely passed the test. I mean, they're using MG3s. Good one. Even though this part here is probably just for ventilation of the interior of the vehicle, it definitely looks like it's a laser cannon or something along those lines. A cheap ass command tank. Good for just rovering around. It's always the same when you get such a badass vehicle such as this, but it only has a heavy machine gun. It's all about autocannon these days, buddy. Shouldn't you be doing maritime rescue near oil rigs? And well, speaking of oil, maybe Norway should get a extra fuel resupply bonus, maybe? Not as cool as the German runs. Still not as cool, but the Arix does make you rather useful. These guys would essentially just be Canadians if it wasn't for the MG3. They're definitely men, and with machine guns. Pretty much just a whole squad of Leafies. Swedish manpad technology, best manpad technology. Right, so here's the problem with the majority of Norwegian infantry. Got the MG3, one of the best machine guns in game. Carl Gustav, fantastic RPG. But then everyone uses a bloody battle rifle. And really, battle rifles suck. It's all about SMGs and carbines and raw game, baby. You can understand gas masks for a flamethrower squad, not so much for an RPG squad, or ATGM in this case. Just a regular M270. No comment. Still no comment. I've pretty much said everything I need to be said about mediocre artillery. Mortar in a box, a revolutionary idea. And mortar in a box too, with prettier colours. Introduce an AA missile on top of a box, coming to stores near you. Even in 1944, single 20mm autocannons on the back of a truck is a little bit pathetic. I'm not here to save the animals. I'm here to blow them all up. Completely forgot that Norway has some absolutely fantastic anti-plane missiles. Like, Jesus Christ. Wouldn't be a European minor military power without Leopard runs. Leopard run with a cool paint job. Pretty alright Leopard run. This is gonna be peak performance tank rise for Norway. Light tanks are meant to be fast, snippy, and be able to flank. This is neither fast or even able to flank. It's a pattern. It's another pattern. Just a regular recon helicopter. Remember French Greyhound races from the open beta of Steel Division? You probably don't, because you're still playing War Game. Just a sniper squad. Nothing really too fancy. At least I gave the Shafi a better gun this time. This is actually a pretty decent recon vehicle. There's no way in hell I'm gonna use these guys. Classical Eugene can't even bother to actually model the roof on top of a rover. Pfft, pathetic. Anything with a Bushmaster gun, it must be a pretty good vehicle. I mean, it's alright. 8-point truck, it goes from A to B and gets blown up. 8-point Gavin, it goes from A to B, shoots a little bit, then gets blown up. Rifled Gavin, missiled Gavin, anti-looking missile Gavin. A pretty damn good Gavin. For 10 points, it's worth it. If you've made to be really fast, then gets blown up. Take the extra armor over amphibious capabilities any day of the week. Right, for helicopter options, we got Huey and Huey. A cheap cluster bomber. A pretty good cheap napalm bomber. Yo, why is it Canadian? Pretty quintessential F-16 for a Balkans. And the same thing, these are basically the best planes that you're gonna get for Norway. Pretty crap. Hey look, it's Puff, the rather cheap and inexpensive but very useful and highly recommended seed plane, the Magic Dragon. So for the longest time, I thought the Netherlands was actually the Netherlands from Peter Pan. So when I was a teenager, I was rather surprised to figure out that they actually made the Peter Pan thing an actual country. An APC command thing. The staff are bringing an Uzi. Even though this is the Netherlands Air Force logo, it reminds me a lot of the Czechoslovakian flag. What an ugly box. What an ugly tank. A pretty shitty supply heli. A not so shitty supply heli. Sure, you can be a supply truck, AMX. Yeah. I guess you don't really need that many supply trucks when you have a very small country. I always saw genies had flamethrowers. Remember an infantry in European escalation actually had grenades? These guys like fouls. So if Eugene kept releasing DLC nations for Wargame, we would have eventually got to the early 2000s. I've no real joke here. The name's just rather funny. I don't know why. That's a stinger. He's troopin' do stoot. Yo, to be frank, stoot troopin' sounds like something I'd leave in the toilet. Now you can shoot dragons at infantry. Woo! Still using Super Dragons in 1995. What a wonderful idea. Small artillery, medium artillery, pretty good medium artillery. To flag up and I mean cheetah. Sorry I got confused here, the name change was rather chaotic. Oh yes, right here's bloody power creep. We got mortars in a car. Can you think of any other nation that has a mortar in a car? I think not. Mortar in an armoured car. And a good old fashioned Gavin mortar. That's a big gun. That's an even bigger gun. You regular Eyehawk. Pretty bloody good Eyehawk. Like, damn. Lazy man Eyehawk. No radar needed. See that Tunguska here? Just make it fucking disappear. I like AMXs, so these are the cool units in my book. Also like Centurions, but that might just be because of national bias. I'm not a big fan of Leopard 1, Joe. I'm sorry. Decentest Leopard 1. It wouldn't be a minor power European nation without at least some sort of Leopard 2. Pretty good Leopard 2. And a very good Leopard 2. And Netherlands is a very good tank arsenal. When in the West Germany Netherlands coalition, you just have an unstoppable tank force. An AMX recon tank. That's cool. Sign of what would become the recon tank meta. It's a dinky little recon helicopter. Also, Ren are pretty meh. Cool combat troops. Why would he even bring this? I can see myself bringing this show. It does look like something out of the future. This is what I want to see. Gavin recon vehicles. Now, yes, right here. It's perfection. Woo! 25mm Gavin recon vehicle. Red 4, eat your heart out. I guess it's okay. Radar just looks pretty cool. What a prat. Should have better stealth considering it's covered in bloody leaves. A big bloody prat. The other Gavins, you got AMXs for your 5-point transport. Pretty neat. It's a 5-point truck. Okay, it is 3 machine guns on a 5-point transporter, which is pretty OP. But it is slow as hell. And of course, a Gavin, which is always really cool. A recoilless rifle jeep. There's nothing really to say. Tow missile on a jeep. Better tow missile on a jeep. It's a 10-point transport. It goes rather fast. An ugly box. An ugly box with a decent autocannon. I'm pretty sure the Netherlands will have a terrible Air Force lineup. I mean, we've got Hueys already. Okay, using bloody 1950s anti-tank gun missiles on a, like what, a 1950s helicopter? Oh. Huh. Okay. An ugly Lynx AH-7. And you just need your Apache to give close fire support. And another cheapest transport helicopter. Yeah. It's a Starfighter. Not too shabby for a cheapest close range interceptor. This right here is the real bloody deal. Gonna be able to bomb a lot of blocks with this thing. Probably 5 street blocks at least. And 10 with this one. Okay, now we're getting a bit ambitious for 15 blocks with only 4 Maverick missiles. I mean, you're gonna have to blow up like what? An average of like 3 blocks? Like, yeah, 4 blocks per Maverick missile. And really, a Maverick missile can only blow up one tank, so good luck blowing up that many street blocks. I think that's what it's for anyway. It's so ugly, yet cute at the same time. A cheap cluster bomber. And a cheap napalm bomber. Now, before I end this video, I really want to mention, if you think about it, how many games allow you to play as the Netherlands military? You can't play in Netherlands in Steel Division. You can't even play Netherlands in Gravity and Tactics Minus Front. You can't even play Netherlands in Hearts of Iron. Well, actually, I guess you can play the Netherlands in Hearts, but you can't play in Netherlands in Zombie Estate 2, and that really must mean that Wargame Red Dragon has to be the greatest strategy game of all time, because it allows you to play as Well, the most orangest country in the world. A colourful command helicopter. Regular old command infantry. You all know communist cars are the best cars. Especially when they're armoured cars. A crappy tank CV. A pretty bloody good tank CV. Oh boy. An APC CV. Fap, 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 fap. Fob. And now we get to one of the best infantry tabs in game. One of the best 10 points infantry you can get. And they use a knockoff World War II equipment. These guys are still in mourning. Apart from the rocket launcher, you could put these guys in Steel Division and it'd fit right in. I'm not even going to touch the bombard debate. Hey kids, want some drugs? Just stick with the drugs. Pretty good for 15 points, and very good for 25 points. Good god, that rocket launcher. If you get enough Strela 2s, you can shoot anything down. Once again, put these guys in Steel Division, and they'd pretty much fit right in. It's not a silo, it's an Igla. Looks like a G.I. Joe toy. Standard 45 point cub. Also, Yugoslavia is one of the best anti-air tabs in game. I mean, just look at this thing. You could probably shoot down a few Nighthawks with this one. A cheap Strela. A less cheaper Strela. He needs radar, and Saint Sava can just guide the missiles himself. And he was a very well-respected priest. I know you can shoot artillery while in the water, but in real life, would that kind of like capsize the tank? It's a more stupid-looking Caesar. Oh, don't mind me. I'm having a bit of a spat at the moment because of this fucker. They also have one of the best tank tabs in game. Just look at it. Jeez, that's a pretty scary damn tank. Not so scary. Or is T-34s for 10 points again? Right, so in the movie Patton, about, well, General Patton, not our war game Patton, yeah, there's a battle scene where they're fighting North Africa against Aaron Rommel. What's really funny about it is all of Rommel's tanks are Patton tanks, and then all of Patton's tanks are Patton tanks. So Patton is using Patton tanks to fight Rommel's Patton tanks before Patton tanks were actually a thing. Yeah. Pretty standard T-55. You can make any tank better by just slapping ATGM missiles. Not exactly the best snowplow. T-72M's just so mediocre. M84s are pretty damn good. Very damn good. Pretty mediocre recon infantry. Hera IC. This is kinda cool. But just kind of. Very boxy car. Rider uses for recon. Who knows? The Norwegian approach to recon units. And just regular BRDM2. Woohoo. I'd always upvote a good recon anti-aircraft unit. What an odd looking thing. What an ugly looking sniper rifle. No wonder they're wearing a mask. Standard T-55 recon. During the early 1990s, Yugoslavians managed to develop Mirage tank technology, allowing their tanks to be pretty much invisible when inside of a tree line, and also internal suppressors for all of their tanks to make their tanks be extremely stealthy. I'm just kidding, this is just a fucking OP unit. It's pretty cute. Pretty cute with a lot of rockets. Definitely like a Syrian or Libyan warfare modification. Marco. Why you use BMPs when you got BVPs? The extra machine gun really helps. What does having a 26 AP Malutka missile? Marco. Polo. Fuck faggots. I reduce drugs. Half tracks are always cool. Yeah. 2 machine guns and my 5-point transport. What is this? Power creep? Oh. Huh. Well, yeah, okay. Just give me a second, I just need to alt-tab. In the past, Pragos were very popular. A dinky little transport truck. The Yugos really like World War II equipment still. 90mm guns, or 90mm gun. And the one Achilles heel of Yugoslavia is helicopter. Apart from the meme factor, they're not really that great. At the end of the day, having a Rika helicopter force is one of the best weaknesses to have in Wargame, as helicopters aren't that great in high-level play because they're such glass cannons. Yeah, they're going to die very quickly, not be able to do a lot of damage, and it's much better to have ground forces such as big heavy tanks and good infantry to actually hold and capture ground. It's a regular hip. Another hit, but with big rockets. Damn. That seems like a reasonable price for all those bombs. Same thing. Ray 10, but it can still get the job done. That's a lot of rockets there, buddy. It's also, yeah, that's a lot of rockets. MiG-21 with a different name. Also a MiG-21 with a different name. Su-27. Something secret documents. Healthy mixed bomb load. Napalm bombs are cool. So are fuck you anti-tank guided missiles. Jeez Louise. Hello, and welcome to the 5 greatest memes of Wargame Red Dragon. So without any further ado, let's just get to the top 5 list. Number 5. Patton stream sniping. I'm not really going to get into it, as it's already been beaten like a dead horse 2 years ago, But by God, this was definitely a rather big meme moment for Wargame, as it wasn't just a meme about the game, but it was a character-based meme on an actual player, and around with his rather shitty attitude of stream sniping another popular streamer. Number 4, this picture from HRC AK-47. It's just Yugoslavian meme perfection. I mean, just look at it, it's just so well done and drawn, and you got the weird faces, and it's copying a famous movie scene that's been done to death with memes, and it even has a kill list, and kill lists are very important for Wargame. Number 3, tactical outplay. Now, all the other memes are pretty big memes, but tactical outplay changed the vocabulary of Wargame as we know it, as a helicopter rush is no longer just a helicopter rush, it's now tactical outplay, all thanks to Vulcan HD Gaming. Number 2, Wargame's general war chat. All the other memes are third party, they require you being outside of Wargame to engage in the memes. Wargame's war chat, however, is directly implanted in the game itself, and it's going 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the best thing about it is you can directly influence the memes on war chat by yourself. Just by starting any of these conversation topics, you're bound to have some good bants. And number 1 is, well, do I need to explain? Right, so the first country we did for this series was the United States. So I think it'd be fitting if we take it back around, and for the last country, we'll be looking at the United States hat. It's a release Jeep Command CV. Slightly different reeled Command CV. Things rather grisly. Oh, box. You are boxy. A pretty meh command tank. Pretty decent command helicopter, yo. It's where we keep all the maple syrup reserves. Meh supply truck. Good supply truck. They blow. Canadian airborne, always a good infantry choice. Always. Canadian rifles, yo. Yeah, okay. Kind of. By God, I love using Eric's. So much fun in such a small package. It can be only one. Or 2, right? We can live with 2 as well. An actual somewhat decent manpad. Yo, still not really that great. More. Right, cut down trees and you can just burn them. A faster mortar vehicle. Wolverines! We can't all afford Challenger marksmen because they spent all the money on ADATs. So, you want an anti-aircraft unit and an anti-tank unit all rolled up into one. Well, the ADAT's got you covered. You can never go wrong with a boxy mortar. But Canada's longer range artillery option, pretty avoidable. It's a Commonwealth country, so of course there's goddamn Centurions. And another. And another. And another with 1950s AT missiles. Fortunately, there's no Leopard 2s for Canada. Or Leopard C2, yo, huh? The Max SAS is decent, but if you're playing Canada, you're probably playing a NORAD deck, so American tanks are gonna be your thing. Cheap little recon helicopter. A dinky little recon car. Watch out for the Cougars, eh? Them coyotes, too. Recon cars are always a terrible idea. For them running trees, bang on. Guess what their job is? You can shoot down helicopters with this thing. Canada's best tank is in the vehicle tab. Honestly, this is pretty meh of a vehicle. Grizzlies are alright. Still nothing really that amazing. Bisons are not really that amazing either. Even though it is no N in the title, I always call this thing the tuner. More recoilless rifle, tow missile, and the tuner. The good old fashioned box. The 5-point cargo truck. More recoilless rifle, tow, and even more tows. Yeah. A pretty decent APC. It gives Canada's infantry just a little bit of an extra edge. Oh boy, the helicopter. You've been playing a lot of Rise and Storm 2 Vietnam. It's just Hueys. Or Hueys. Too bad I didn't have SS missiles in the 1940s, because then they could have shot SS missiles at actually SS members. At least it's a different helicopter, finally. I would have preferred an Avro Arrow. It's a starfighter. This one fights for your freedom. An alright bombing plane. It's very amusing how Canada and Finland have air superiority fighter F-18s, but America has none. Wargame 2, Electric Voodoo, and, well, that should be it. I think that's all the units now. We might be done. Okay, another month ago, another unit summarized. I mean, there's a lot of units in Wargame, like what? Like over 1,000 now at this point. So there definitely must be something I can summarize. Let's see. Let's take a look at the lovely armory. And, well, there's a lot of nations to pick from, so let's just I don't know. Let's try USA. We could do USA, if I can actually pick it. Here we go. We got a lot of tanks. We've got some cool helicopters, but no, I've already done USA, haven't I? Yeah, yes, I have, Rang. We could do East Germany. East Germany, best Germany. Doesn't rhyme, but it still is kind of true. No, I've already done East Germany, haven't I? How about the Netherlands? I mean, you can never forget the Netherlands. I mean, just look at this paid DLC nonsense. I've already done the Netherlands too, which makes things rather bloody difficult. I need something to summarize. Well, if I do actually recall, there were some units I did forget, and I did make some glaring errors on, so let's take a look at that. For some reason I thought this was a seed plane. I don't know what I was smoking that day. How could I forget about the wonderful Danish reserve infantry? I mean, their bazooka's bloody super. I have no idea how I forgot to mention the Tomcat in the USA video. I really just want to make it clear. Yeah, Top Gun is without a doubt my favourite documentary. Though, I forgot, yes yo. Anyone actually use the regular artillery for Israel? I just stick with MacMatch and the crazy rocket artillery that you get. For some reason, I call this a half track, even though you can fully tell it is 100% track on both sides. These are also pretty wild, especially when they're flown by William Dafoe. This is not an Su-27, but in fact a MiG-29B. Or also an L-18. I call this a command helicopter. It just supplies units instead. Apparently, I forgot naval. Naval. What is this? Age of Empires? No naval in this game. I mean, look. Let's go to the store. Let's go to the store page right now. Let's take a look. Scroll down here. Look, you got 17 Nason, all the DLCs, 14,000 units, new planes, tanks, helicopters, warships, and okay, we know the amphibious units, we've seen them, but warships? Huh! Is this like some sort of like secret cheat code I gotta do? Like AABB? No? Oh, great. Nav. Holy shit, that's naval units. I thought it was just like the navigation tab. Wow. Yeah, there's quite a few big ships. Wow, I guess we do have something to summarize after all, yeah. Let's get going. Couldn't actually find a way to view the landing craft and the armory, so here we are. And here's the Redfall one. It's much cooler. A very expensive mortar piece. Pretty decent at keeping those aircraft array. It's so tiny. Not the largest dong I've ever seen. This guy is definitely ready for his anti-aircraft role. Same with this chap too, but he's backed up with some pretty big missiles. The AKs are starting to get ridiculously big. Hey, look, it's a Flying Dutchman. Only 2 harpoons. Yeah, good luck killing any ships with this. Redfall has some pretty good anti-ship ships. A pretty decent big ship for Bluefall. Stick one of these chaps in the middle of your fleet and you're gonna be shooting down all the missiles. The King of Congo, a fistful of seawater. Of course the French ship would look very fashionable. Luda! One of the smallest deep sea ships in game. There's only 10 of them, so it's not that much of an accomplishment. Don't give up the ship. Blackjack. The age-old Raw Game Red Dragon naval debate. Which ship is better? The 500-point Sovereignty, or 500-point Udaloy 2, which are both the most expensive units in-game. Leave your pick in the comments below. A floating T-34. Pretty much the ATGM Jeep of the sea. I always found the resupply ships to be really cool, as you essentially had a floating FOB, and on maps with rivers, you could have your floating FOB really close to your frontline units. It's really quite awesome. I was not born with a silver spoon in hand. A modern day Greek fire ship. Really big floating FOB. Damn, that's a lot of supply. Time for a Shanghai showdown. I'm sure that recoilless rifle is going to help you a ton. It's got a dinky little tank cannon, it's got a dinky little autocannon, and some rockets. It's not the best rivercraft in the world, but for Redfall you gotta take what you got. This unit to me idolizes what naval combat could have been and really should have been for Wargame Red Dragon, as the current problem where no one, including me, has played naval in years is because it's a sideshow. It happens off to the side of the map, and it's not really fun to engage in. It's not as fun as the actual land combat in Wargame Red Dragon, which is much more developed. But the STRB is the one exception to the rule, as when is a map with rivers, this is a really good unit, and a fun and balanced unit too, really, because it's very powerful. It's got Hellfire missiles, it's got close range weaponry, and it's got high HP, but it can only do its thing around rivers, so it has limited traversability, mobility, really, so you can't just bring it around bloody everywhere. It's good for holding key areas, and that is really it. And really, that's what Wargame Red Dragon naval combat should have been, just riverboat battles with smaller riverboats with more rivers along certain maps that aren't as bridge choke pointy, such as goddamn 38th parallel or whatever before it was fixed. But yeah, it could have been much better if they just focused on that, in my book, as this is a really fun unit to use. And well, it's also the boat from Battlefield 4. It's may have been forever since I played naval combat, but I don't remember any of these goddamn planes. They're pretty much just regular planes, but with anti-ship missiles. Intruder with harpoons. Puma with some exosets. Yeah. Panther with some AS-15TTs or some big TTs. It's pretty cool because it has harpoons, but it can also do a little bit of fighting with 2-hole stingers. You pretty much just use this for suicide runs. Just get a tornado because it's much better. When the game first came out, you could only get the F-14 Tomcat within the naval tab, meaning that you never used the F-14 Tomcat. Thank God they fixed that and added it to the regular American air tab. It was just some scary looking penguins. America kind of has an F-18 fighter aircraft, kind of. Not as cool as the Nuke Vark. I don't feel like I need to actually say anything. It just looks very funny. And Lynx has 4 missiles. This is a helicopter I've never seen before. It's like an Mi-8, but with 6 more. Funny how there's been all these planes that have never been used and just, yeah, in the game, but no one really knows they exist. Meh. Even more meh. I'm gonna lie, it's pretty hard trying to think of anything funny for. Oh wait, it only has 1 missile. Just like the Royal Super Etna in regular Wargame. Alright guys, I got a plan. Just gonna let the Su-27 do all the hard work, and we're gonna bug it. It only has 1 missile as well. Oh boy. It's always been a really cool aircraft in my book, and I'm also quite surprised at how many anti-ship missiles there are for just the airplanes and helicopters alone. Rory, the missiles are safe, they're painted orange. Okay, the ball's now in your court. When the game initially released, they didn't have these anti-ship ground vehicles at all. It wasn't until one of those 3 unit updates where they added them. But they were added way too late, so no one really knows they exist. But here they are. Looks like it should shoot a tactical nuke, but instead it just shoots termites. My favourite MOBA is just not playing any of them. Yes, I read it before. Yo bro, I never miss arm day, but I only have 1 arm. And this is a sea buster. It busts up the sea. See what I did, yeah? What? You thought I was just gonna end it off like that, making a crappy joke about an anti-ship truck that we've never used that's named after the best character from the hit children's TV show Arthur? No. There's more to summarize. We gotta summarize all the maps. It's a good map and a good movie. The control points on this map are very dirty. I mean, there's only an even amount of them. That's bad game design in my book. Nuclear winter has been coming for a long time now, but it's never arrived. Just fill the town full of Commando Cs, have a teammate bring a Bertino, and GG, you already win. I remember it should always turn into a stalemate. Not really a fun map. Run lane only equivalent for Wargame Red Dragon. Welcome to the paddy fields, mother. One of the best maps to helicopter rush on. Hell is in a very small place, they just forgot about the rest of the map. Okay, I'll just get straight to the point with this one. It's a map. And considering we just covered naval units, we're also gonna cover naval maps. It's still Ronsan Harbour, you just got some sea areas to go by now. We're even doing naval maps. I mean, do you guys remember the last time you've seen a naval map?
I actually
Holy
don't.
moly, that's a lot of zones to capture. This map right here is a really good example of what was the problem with Wargames Red Dragon map design at release. As you can tell, the only way to really get to the enemy is by crossing a bridge, and there really is only 4 to 5 bridges, depending on which side you're on, to get to the enemy side and actually attack. Meaning that it's really easy to defend. You put defensive forces of ATGMs here, and you're pretty much good to go. And it's just a stalemate where you're shooting across a river for 40 minutes. It's another paddy field. And this is a pretty fun map. I enjoy this run quite a bit. You got the open ground ATGM ship fest down below, the 1 lane fun time in the middle, and then some fun, you know, hill fighting in a town up north. Bit of everything for all sorts of factions. I'm not a big fan of this map. I really like the whole look and aesthetic of this battlefield, but considering once again it's an even amount of capture zones, it doesn't really make for engaging gameplay. This is absolute mayhem, but it's a lot of fun. Pretty damn decent. This has essentially been the DE Dust 2 of the Wargame series, so the Red Dragon installment has quite a few changes. Open the map. Stop having it be closed. Another D-Day in Paradise, more like foreshadowing for Steel Division, am I right? The only small point I want to make about this map is that it's rather large. Another naval map I've never played on. Bulldogs and vampires, more like muskets and harpoons. Think of anything witty to say about this jungle is rather tough. Apart from the bridges, this is a pretty cool map. Probably the most played map of Wargame Red Dragon. I think that's an accurate assumption to make. There's not many trees to hide behind, and you're gonna have to get used to it. But you got some nice hills. Still a pretty cool map. But we can play on the edge a bit more now. That's cool. Almost like due to the fact that the middle is a giant choke point that they really want you to use naval units to try and attack across the flanks. Too bad there's no naval units in this map, yo. The original version of this map, the 38th parallel, is absolutely terrible. But just by flipping the map 90 degrees, they turn it into a really fun battlefield. Still a pretty cool map, but now is more of a reason to go along the northern side, and not just for helicopter rushing. Feels like these really make you wish you had a line of sight tool. 1v run me at the crossroads, super heavy tanks only. Oh, cool, thanks for opening up the map. We can now use our naval units. So a tip I remember seeing quite a few people do is land ATGM infantry via helicopters or like naval transport on these islands and try to snipe ships like that. It didn't really work, but this is rather funny. My favourite atoll, which is Bikini Atoll. It's a lot of water. It's just water. There's literally nothing else apart from water. This is the entire map. It must have taken 5 seconds to make. Pick a command point, any command point. I hope you brought helicopter or amphibious units, because you're going to need them. Probably one of the worst proper maps of Wargame Red Dragon. Death Row is kind of a meme, it doesn't really count. As the entire map is just bridges, just bridges. It's choke point hell. Like, good luck doing any sort of offensive action on this map, as it always turns into a stalemate unless one side is playing extremely poor. I once sent a column of Soviet armoured vehicles through this maze and they never came back. It wasn't that they were destroyed, they vanished. I never heard from them again. Korea doesn't rock, Korea pops. Cold War Z, a sequel to Road War Z. Or tried doing helicopter rushes or amphibious assaults across this canal, but they never work. Oh boy, it's my favourite power plant map. Pretty much the same map, but I want to take this time to really appreciate how well done the detailing is in pretty much all of Eugene's games, especially Wargame and Steel Division. I mean, if you just zoom in into his power plant sector, just one area of this map, a rather dense area. This definitely looks like an industrial place. It doesn't seem like some contrived game nonsense. We got vehicles parked in parking zones. We got all sorts of buildings with all different functions like silos and shipping containers and shipping container carriers, whatever they're bloody called. I can't think of the name of. I mean, these are really well done maps. And all war game maps, all Steel Division maps are so bloody beautiful when you zoom in. I mean, you could turn them into armor maps, and they'd still be rather fun to play on. We never really see it all too often because we're zoomed out as far and we're just looking at icons, which is a bit of a shame. You can't drive anywhere without bumping into a command point. For anyone else, I'm not doing the 10v10 maps as I can't just load them up, and actually going into a 10v10 lobby and hoping it has the right map is a bit of a pain in the ass. But this is pretty much a 10v10 map, it's just been scaled down a bit. Yeah. Oh, hello, straight to the point. We're seeing you once again. Oh boy. And the final map we're going to be looking at is Smoke in the Water, which is definitely a very cool map. I mean, there's a bloody volcano in the middle, or deactivated volcano most likely. Anyway, it's a big bloody mountain. And this is a really cool map thematically, because the whole idea is that you got to control the water rate, you got to control the channels. Having naval superiority is vitally important, because the only way to get to the middle landmass is either through helicopter transports or through marine amphibious landings, meaning that you have to control the bloody waterways to be able to get to the actual area to fight over. This is the valuable part of the map with all the bloody command zones. And it was a lot of fun trying to ferry troops across. It was a pain in the arse, of course, trying to get guys from your command zone into the actual battlefield area. But it means you have to play airborne and marine style decks to really get the most enjoyment out of this map. And what was also really cool was once you get here, you're not fighting super heavy tanks or just larger vehicles. It's all smaller amphibious vehicles, like vehicle fights and light vehicle skirmishing. It was a lot of fun just using smaller scale weaponry in such a battlefield. No one really wanted to play this map because it involved a lot of naval, and the naval aspect of it really sucked because naval combat wasn't entirely all that fun. But yeah, that's all the map summaries, apart from the proper 10v10 runs. I mean, what's next? I mean, I gotta summarize more stuff. There's so much more to summarize. I can summarize the campaigns, the menu screens, game modes, chat channels, tutorials, flags, control schemes, interface icons, actual war games, deck types, errors, coalitions, deck names, menu buttons, Steam guides, soundtracks.